does it feel like 20 years, or sometimes does it feel like it was just yesterday?
I definitely have like a visual memory in general. And so for me, it's just like, when I replay it, I can kind of like see it. And I'm sure like a lot's changed since then. But yeah, it's definitely like one of those things that you'll obviously never forget.
It's the Poker News Podcast.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Poker News Podcast, episode 989. It is a special one. I am here at the 2026 World Series of Poker, and it is the 20th anniversary of the 2006 World Series of Poker when one Jamie Gold ended up winning the main event. So for this episode, I'm celebrating that 20th anniversary by doing some special interviews with Sabyl Cohen Landrum, the last woman standing in that year's main event, Paul Wasicka, the runner-up to Jamie Gold in that year's main event, and Jon Friedberg, who won a $1,000 no-limit hold'em event for a WSOP Gold bracelet in 2006. We're gonna run them all back to back to back. Check it out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am with a very special guest continuing our 20th anniversary of the 2006 World Series of Poker, the main event runner-up, Paul Wasicka. Paul, thanks for taking the time to chat with me.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's funny because you might not remember, but I do. In 2017, so 9 years ago, we actually played together at a charity series of poker. I think it was here in Vegas. It was at MGM. You ended up winning it. It was the 10th ever CSOP event. They just celebrated their 100th, so it was a long time ago. But I took third in that one, so we actually did get to play together.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I've played in a few of those, and it's put on by a good friend of mine, Matt Stout, and I try to play when I can. I haven't been out in a while, but yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think for poker fans, this conversation will be fun for them. A lot of people came up in the 2006 era will remember you from your main event run, finishing runner-up to Jamie Gold, also winning the NBC National Heads Up Championship the following year, which I think a lot of people might not remember for $500,000. So let me ask, these days, what are you up to? Because I was looking over your Hendon Mob. Doesn't seem like you play a lot of poker anymore. What's life like for Paul Wasicka these days?
So my wife and I had a kid, about a year and a half ago. So his name is Calvin, and, I'm a full-time dad, and I love it. He's awesome. Just put him down for a nap so that we could do this interview. So
yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations. And,
thank you so much.
Yeah. And where's home for you these days?
Live in Denver, Colorado. So I've lived in Colorado most of my life. I lived in Vegas for a period of time when I was really involved with poker. But all my family and friends and everything are out here. So yeah, we've lived in Denver proper for probably about 10 years now. And lived in, all sorts of, suburbs from Boulder to Denver to Westminster. And yeah, just love Colorado.
Yeah. Do you play any poker these days? I know they got Blackhawk there with the casinos up in the mountains.
Yeah. So I was actually playing Blackhawk pretty regularly, just cash games, because it's only 45 minutes from Denver. That was before the pandemic. And once the pandemic hit, then, we don't really have that many options for online poker out here. So that kind of killed that. When the pandemic ended, I played a few times, but I wasn't, as regularly going up there. And then, my friends and I hold a home game once every month or once every other month. Just really small buy-in and a group of guys that are just laid back, having a good time.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to 2006 and that kind of era, the height of the poker boom. You were one of the young guns of poker who broke onto the scene in the 2006 main event. And then we're around for a few years there, like I said, played the NBC National Heads Up, was one of the hot young guns, if you will. Take me back to that time and take me back to that main event. How did you come to play? Did you satellite in? Did you buy your way in? What was the story and how you got into the main event?
Sure. So yeah, I got into poker really after Chris Moneymaker went deep in the main event and ended up winning it. That kind of sparked my interest, and I decided that I wanted to try to make a career out of it. So started to play online on Party Poker back then, and built up a bankroll. And then, I was mostly a cash game player, played a little bit of sit and goes. And then a friend of mine and I decided we wanted to start taking shots at some tournaments to try to see if we could win big. So my first live tournament was in Reno. There was a little 5K out there, and I was second in chips after day one and didn't even cash. So that was kind of brutal. But easy come, easy go, I guess, with the chips. So after that, I actually satellited into the WPT championships that spring. And so that was a nice score for me. That was like 150K or so. And then took like a month just traveling with my sister. And then from there, entered the World Series, played a bunch of tournaments, some 5Ks, had a couple deep runs in 2 different 5Ks. And so at that point, I'd built up a decent, bankroll for myself. And so I bought into the main event on my own. So that was kind of like the lead up to that. It was pretty surreal thinking about it, because as a poker player, you dream of even just like being able to play in the main event, like let alone like go deep in it. And so that was just really, really exciting, and didn't really hit home for a few weeks after that, for sure.
Yeah, at the time it was a record-breaking main event. The record has since fallen, but it stood for many years because, the online poker landscape changed shortly thereafter. And cool to hear that you bought in, as much as you're willing to share, because I know some poker players didn't. Did you do any swaps or exchanging pieces with people, or?
Yeah, I had a few friends that I did some swaps with. So, there's like 3 or 4 friends that we did some swaps with. So, yeah. I had
Very
most
cool.
of myself, though.
Yeah, second place for 6.1 million, not too shabby. I actually did a rewatch of that whole main event in preparation for the 20th anniversary. And of course, Jamie Gold ended up winning it. And we still see Jamie. He's going to be on the show later this summer. But looking back on it, when you look back on it, what do you take from the experience? Is it bittersweet to kind of be like, oh, I was one person away from winning it? Or, rewatching it, it was like Jamie was a hard, unstoppable force almost with that chip lead that he had too. So.
Sure. Not really. I think it was more just like, I just think of how fortunate I was. I ran really well. I didn't really get sucked out on too much. There was one big pot that I took a pretty bad beat on. I had aces against ace king on the bubble, and I forgot what the stacks were, but it was for a lot. But I was able to bounce back from that. But the last 2 or 3 days of the tournament, I didn't really take any major bad beats or anything. And so I just, I felt very fortunate that, you have to run good to make it that far, whether you're an amazing player, not so great, whatever. Everyone who makes it that far has to run well, win their flips and, just be in the zone when they're playing. So that was, I think, the main emotion that I had from it was just a feeling of gratitude. I was fairly confident in my game at that time. They edited the interview quite a bit, but I was very, very confident that no matter what chip deficit I had going into that, final heads up, that I would be able to overcome it. I think that was more where my mindset was at, was not worried about what a run he was on or anything like that. I was mostly just staying in the moment and playing to the best of my ability was what I was focused on.
What was it like afterwards? Like I said, this was the height of the poker boom. You were on ESPN, and anybody back in those days who made the final table became a de facto poker celebrity. Did you experience that in the aftermath of finishing runner-up?
Yeah, to some degree. I had people recognize me, and even at the airport and stuff like that. It was kind of cool for a little bit. But my personality, I'm not really drawn to fame too much. And so I wasn't as drawn to that. I'll smile and, talk with the person, answer questions and stuff like that. But that's not really what was driving me. And so that was kind of just like an afterthought. But I know a lot of people, kind of crave that attention and stuff, but that really wasn't me. I like kind of my own private life.
Sure. I know one thing that it did lead to was an invitation the following year to the NBC National Heads Up Championship, which was on hiatus for a decade or so, and it recently returned. So that's cool. But looking back at 2007, you won that tournament, 64 runners in the bracket style, defeating the late, great Chad Brown. Heads Up actress Shannon Elizabeth was third in that one. So you got $500,000 for that. Looking back on the NBC National Heads Up Championship, I mean, it's just a great event from a viewer's perspective, a lot of fun. Did you have a good time, taking that one down?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually was exhausted for that one because I came in and got into town like 1 a.m. or something, because I just was in the LA Poker Classic in Los Angeles the night before. And so it was kind of like a last minute thing that kind of came together, because initially I wasn't slated to play in it actually at all. And Phil Hellmuth backed out. I think he was traveling or something. So I actually took a last minute spot for Phil. And so when I got in, I was like, pretty tired, and I didn't have too much expectations, but I thought like, it's an amazing opportunity, and I want to do this thing. Didn't have, a ton of experience heads up. But I've always been into sports. And so the bracket style tournament, like really, kind of appealed to me. And so, basically just kept telling myself, okay, like each heads up match is roughly a 50-50. So I got to win like 6 coin flips or whatever it was. And so that's kind of what I kept telling myself. Okay, only 5 more to go, only 4 more to go. And so kind of broke it down into small pieces like that. But yeah, it was really cool to compete against like all of that talents. And, there was also some like actors and stuff in the mix. So it was cool to kind of get a mix of people, and it just felt like more of like a lighthearted tournament rather than a cutthroat tournament. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of family there rooting for me, and that was an experience I definitely won't forget anytime soon.
Did they give you like a trophy? And if so, do you still have it? Do you still have it? Is it displayed? Is it packed away?
It's downstairs in my poker room. So yeah. Yeah, I can take it down there as we get closer to the end of the interview.
Yeah. And then you actually have you finished runner up in the main event, but you do have a piece of WSOP gold. You won a WSOP circuit in 2010, back when it was a 5K main event at these circuit stops back then. You mentioned Matt Stout earlier in the episode. He was at that final table, but you took that one down. So you got a ring to your credit. So.
Yeah. Still don't have a bracelet, but but yeah, I got the ring. Actually, Matt and I were rooming together for that tournament, and so that was a little bittersweet because I ended up winning it, but I took him out, and so I felt kind of bad about it. But what can you do? So he went all in, and I was in the big blind. I looked down at Ace King. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, man. I call. So that's how that went down.
Yeah, I love Matt. Just saw him at the Charity Series of Poker 100th event that they had, and so you're a CSOP champ too. I won one. I can't remember which one it was. So I've won a CSOP, and
nice.
There's less than 100 winners in CSOP history. So you're one of them.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And like again, with those tournaments, it's a lot of fun because you never know who's going to show up. There's hockey players, actors, comedians. There's just like everybody coming to those things, and it's for a good cause. I think they were rotating the causes before, and I think St. Jude was the one that was being benefited when I was at. But yeah, it's for a good cause, and everyone's there laughing, having a good time, drinking. So I definitely recommend to anyone who hasn't played. It's fairly low stakes. I think it's like $400 or $500 buy-in or something with rebuys for whatever the first however long. But yeah, it's a really good time, and yeah, like you said, they just played hosted their 100th anniversary, or not anniversary, but 100th tournament. So they've been going strong for a while now.
Yeah, 100%. Do you ever watch back your final table in the main event, or watch back the NBC National Heads Up Championship? Like, have you, the family or friends ever went back and rewatched?
Um, Actually, believe it or not, no. I do kind of replay a lot of it in my head. But as far as like watching on TV, I haven't watched it all the way through since it aired. But my cousin's husband actually burned a little DVD for me with like all the like poker highlights and commercials and stuff that I was in. And so that was pretty cool for him to kind of like sum it all up in like a little DVD for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's going to be a lot of people who are watching, listening to this that have been thrilled to kind of catch up because, like I said, when you came up and finished runner-up and then broke onto the poker scene, you're just one of the people from that era that I think sticks out in a lot of people's heads, myself included, because I distinctly remember being in college and watching that main event final table, and it was just iconic, I thought. And you've been on my list of people like I'd love to chat with them. I said, like I said, we played together at the CSOP. I guess 9 years ago now, but since then it's haven't come across. Will we see you in the poker world again, do you think? I know you got a young
I think so.
child now and stuff, but yeah.
I've been trying to get out there, but different reasons have prevented me. There was a couple deaths, so I went to a couple funerals, and then I had Cal. But yeah, I've been itching to get back out there. Every year I say I'll go, and then I don't end up making it out. But I think in the next like year or two, you'll see me back out there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be great to see you. And I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us and kind of reflecting back on the 20th anniversary. I mean, does it feel like 20 years or sometimes does it feel like it was just yesterday?
It feels kind of more the latter. I mean, 20 years is a long time, and so like it makes me feel a little old when I think about it like in those terms. But yeah, I mean, I definitely have like a visual memory in general, and so for me it's just like when I replay it I can kind of like see it, and I'm sure like a lot's changed since then. But yeah, it's definitely like one of those things that you'll obviously never forget. So
well, Paul, I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with the Poker News Podcast audience, and would definitely love to see you back out here at the World Series of Poker.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Chad.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am with a very special guest. Who better to talk to than the last woman standing in the 2006 main event, one Sabyl Cohen at the time, but now Sabyl Cohen Landrum, because I think you got married shortly after your run in the main event. Is that correct?
I did, yes. We got married in 2007.
Yeah, see? Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us and reflect a little bit. 20 years ago already.
I know, it's hard to believe it's been 20 years. Don't remind me.
You ended up finishing 56th for $123,000. The last woman standing in what was then the record-breaking main event. I mean, that was the height of the poker boom. So I kind of want to start there. Like, how did you come to play the main event that year? Did you buy in? Did you satellite in? How did you end up in the main event?
I satellited in through the now infamous Full Tilt Poker. It was a $215 satellite.
Wow, that's. Did you play a lot online back then, or like? I guess you take me even further back. How did you come to play poker in the first place?
I mean, that's a really long story. Like, if you want to know my first introduction, it was my debate coach in high school probably corrupting us with Indian poker and some other crazy variants of poker. And then I did some home games in Seattle, and then started playing at Muckleshoot. Was really bad when I started, and kind of just worked my way up from there.
Yeah, all the way to the main event. What do you remember most about 2006 and the main event? I mean, it was the height of the poker boom. Things were crazy. It was right before I got into the industry professionally, but I remember being a poker fan and watching you on ESPN. And, looking back here, what really sticks out in your mind about your main event run that year?
I mean, it was sort of surreal. I had, it's a lot of days, right? It's a lot of days. I had never played a poker tournament quite that long. I played the main event only once before, and busted out day one the first time I played. So it was my second time to play the main event. And it was really kind of exhilarating. I think I had, you always have to have luck to get there. I think I played like a hand badly in day 3 or 4 where I misjudged the stack. And I put money in where I wouldn't have normally put all my chips in with ace queen. And I did, and I got lucky because I was behind. And then I think I also just remember thinking Annie Duke was going to be the last woman standing. Like, it was just kind of presumed, I think, that at the point that we were down to like 2 or 3 of us left as the ladies, I think everyone just sort of assumed it was going to be Annie Duke that was the last lady left. And then somehow it was me, and then I had gotten short on a right read gone bad, and then I was rushed to the stage because I think they realized they didn't have any footage, and then I was out like that after they got me up on stage. So it was just really fast, and kind of surreal at the time.
Yeah, Annie Duke ended up finishing 88th in that year's main event, and as I said, you went on to finish 56th. What was it like afterwards? Was there any little poker notoriety? Because like I said, this was on TV. It was very height of the poker boom, and it seemed like anybody who got even a little TV time, then you got at least a little recognition in the poker world for a while.
I think there was a little bit. It was probably a little easier to get backers. I was partly backed in that event, and actually, I guess of note is that event got me out of makeup, right? So that was kind of nice. And so it was a little bit easier to get investors a little after. And I think, but it also made the game tougher because I think I was underestimated, and I maybe went from being underestimated to maybe even being overestimated at the time. And so you have to shift how you're playing other players because you have to know what they're thinking about your play, right? And so I think for a long time I skirted by on being underestimated.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense. And of course, 2006, that final table was pretty iconic. Jamie Gold ended up winning that. Everybody remembers, and a lot of recognizable names ended up going deep in that tournament. Did you get to play, if you did, to the best of your knowledge or your recollection, did you get to play with Jamie Gold at all, or anybody else, that went deep that you remember?
It was such a blur. I did not get to play with Jamie Gold that year. I think I played with Scotty Wynn that year, but it might have been the year after. But I'm pretty sure I had some time with Scotty Wynn that year. You think I would remember, but I know I had Barry Shulman at one of my tables that year. But I think who was it? Was it Prahlad?
Prahlad Friedman?
Yes, because he was tough. He was a tough opponent at my table at one point, and I remember he made that particular table tough. That was like day 3 or 4.
Yeah, he ended up going on to finish 20th in the main event that year and was one of the kind of the breakout people. So what has life been like a little bit, in the years right after, and then even up to today? Is poker still something you do? Is it something you play?
Now I play a lot less. It was my full-time with some advantage gambling stuff as well. It was my full-time gig for a while, but I eventually went back to what I was originally planning on doing, which is going to law school. So now I am a public interest attorney. I represent folks who are unhoused, and I represent tenants. And I have a kid. My kid is now 13. So obviously once I had my child, it made it a lot harder to play. And between working and having my kid, multi-day events in particular are much harder for me to play.
Yeah, that makes sense. Though I do see on your Hendon Mob that, you still do have cashes at the World Series of Poker at Barge, which is always a lot of fun. One of my favorite things to do when I can make it to Barge. And so it looks like you still play more than a lot of people.
Yes, I definitely prioritize the Barge events. I really encourage people to give it a shot. They're a great group of people. They're like my poker family. If I have to choose between doing Barge and the World Series, I choose Barge. It's maybe not the biggest moneymaker, but it is the most meaningful for me. And also I love the games. I love mixed games. I love playing the weird, like there's always something unusual and new that we're playing. And so I actually really consider myself a mixed game player. I'm actually really not a no limit player. So it's kind of a fluke that I did as well as I did in the main event that year. And the last 2 years I got really lucky. 2 years ago, I was on a sabbatical, which allowed me to play half of my sabbatical I spent at the World Series, half I spent with my kid traveling. And then last year I was laid off. And while that sounds horrible, it actually ended up being great. I have a wonderful new job now, and it allowed me some time to play poker more seriously again, too. And it was kind of validating to get to spend some time at summer camp, so to speak.
Yeah, that's great. And a lot of people surprisingly don't know about Barge. And like you, I encourage them to. It's been around since 1991, started as a meetup of the rec gambling news group. And now it's so much fun. I've played games there that I've never played anywhere else and probably never will again. And the camaraderie there it's a blast. And is there a chance we're going to see you at this year's Barge or at this year's World Series of Poker at all?
The World Series is still questionable. I'm in the sandwich generation, where I have the elderly parent and the child. So I'm not sure with family if I'll be able to get away this year. I'm hoping to for at least a week, but I don't know that I'll be able to. Definitely at Barge unless things go wrong.
Right. Well, I appreciate, taking the time to chat with us and reflecting back a bit on the 2006 World Series of Poker. It's so wild because, like you said, has it really been 20 years? Because for so many of us, like myself, that was, watching it on ESPN, it was kind of the pinnacle. And, you'll always have that being the last woman standing in the 06 main event.
It's a great memory, and it's a great talking point with people. Yes.
Chad Holloway here. Are you sad that the 2026 World Series of Poker is coming to an end? That there's going to be all these empty tables? Well, I've got good news for you because the Run Good Poker Series season finale is taking place at Thunder Valley Casino in California, July 16th through August 3rd. And what's more, there's a big Poker News event. It is the $400 buy-in, $250K guaranteed Poker News Cup. That'll be running from July 16th through the 19th. I'm going to be playing. Poker News will be doing live updates. In addition, you can tell me your poker story to win free Poker News swag. It should be a lot of fun. There are also several other events on the schedule, including a $300 buy-in, $100K guaranteed action from July 20th through the 22nd, a $600 buy-in, $500,000 guarantee, Hendon Mob Mid-Major Championship from July 23rd through the 27th, and a Run Good Summit Stack, July 26th to the 29th. That's a $400 buy-in, $100K guaranteed. But the granddaddy of them all, $1,200 buy-in, $1 million guaranteed, $1 million main event, July 30th through August 3rd. This is the Run Good Poker Series Passport season finale with Poker News. I'm Chad Holloway. Chad Holloway here at the 2026 Tournament Directors Association Summit, the TDA Summit, with Jon Friedberg of Poker Atlas. You just gave a presentation, a lot of movers and shakers here. This interview isn't about the TDA. We're going to have another one for that. We're going to talk to you about your 2006 WSOP bracelet. But so far, just real quick, pretty good turnout here, huh, for this year?
Yeah, it seems like they're
it looks empty now. It looks empty now because they're on lunch break, but it was a packed room. Let's talk about 2006. It's the 20th anniversary. I've been speaking with people who either went deep, made a name for themselves, or in your case, won a bracelet. You won a $1,000 no limit hold'em, massive field for $500,000. And this was the height of the poker boom. Take me back. Does it feel like it was 20 years ago?
I can't believe it's been 20 years. In fact, when I tell people that, I'm like, wow, that's time flies. It really, to me, it part of it still feels like it was a dream, but the other part of me feels like it just happened 3 years ago. Yeah. It's just amazing how fast time flies.
Yeah, and it was, how big was the field?
I think the exact number, if I'm not mistaken, was 2,891 players, or maybe it was 2,981 players. But at the time, it was the largest single day starting event in the history of poker.
Yeah.
Which now, approximately 3,000 players is like, oh yeah, that's how many are signed up before late reg even starts on your typical flight. But back then there really weren't, other than the main event, there really weren't multi-flight events that were bracelet events.
Yeah, and it was it was not re-entry back then. They were almost all freeze outs. There were some rebuys, I suppose. I think most people registered on time, or it wasn't quite as extreme as late reg and stuff. It was a different game kind of back then.
It was. It's changed a lot, but the payout structure has changed a lot too, because I won $530,000-ish on a 1K buy, and that's tough to do now because the payouts have kind of gotten so much flatter. But no, I'm also very different. Back in 2006, if I'm not mistaken, we had 35 bracelet events, which were the only 35 bracelets awarded, worldwide for that entire year. So, nowadays, there's been a lot of talk about the dilution of the value of bracelets and whatnot. I'm not really going to comment on that, but I will say that, Madsen, Jamie Gold, Brandon Cantu, myself, all of the 2006 alumni, I think we're all very proud of the fact that there were only 35 bracelets up for grabs that year. And, it was quite meaningful to have been fortunate enough to win one.
As somebody who's won one myself in 2013 in a much smaller event, but it's life-changing, right? Like they always say there's poker players and then there are poker players with bracelets. And it's just, but now we're chasing that. We're chasing trying to get number 2, right?
I mean, I'm happy to say that I'm not really. And of course, I would love to win another bracelet. But
you're not grinding there full time or anything.
I'll tell you what, when I walk into any tournament now, anywhere, after winning that bracelet, it's like there's no more pressure, no more stress. Because we poker players, that's what we all strive for. It's like we want an effing bracelet.
Yeah.
And that's what we all are in it for. And so to finally have that, I'm sure you would agree with this, it just kind of takes that monkey off your back. Like, you know what? I could never do anything else in poker again.
Yeah.
But I got my bracelet.
100%.
Yeah.
So my last question for you will be this: where is the bracelet? Do you still have it? Is it in a safe? Is it on display? Where's the bracelet?
I keep it in a safe deposit box at the Wells Fargo on St. Rose and Eastern. If anybody wants to, figure out how to get in there. But no, seriously, I keep it locked up in a safe deposit box. I don't even want to keep it in my house just because, God forbid, my maid or exterminator, somebody find it and steal it.
Sure.
I never really wear it unless I'm going out to specific events, or every now and then I'll bring it into my office at Poker Atlas because my employees want to see it. But I just keep it locked up in a safe deposit box. How about you? What do you do with your bracelet?
And we put it on the set for the podcast most of the time. Yeah, I'm like, it was sitting on a display. I'm like, let's get this on the podcast.
Okay.
And now Mike Holtz has 2 that he brings sometimes. And if we ever get you in studio, maybe I'll ask you to bring it in.
I'll be happy to.
Awesome. Jon Friedberg, you might not know it, the man behind Poker Atlas, is a World Series of Poker bracelet winner from 2006. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Likewise, thank you for having me.